Hello and welcome to episode 2 of A Stock Car is Born by the British Radio Car Association. Again, we're in the workshop in the heart of the country in Rugby, and I'm joined again by Ben Harding. Good evening.
Hi everyone, hello, how are we doing?
And what we have is the second episode, as we've said, and what we're going to take is, I've brought this evening last year's car that I purchased second hand and had hours of fun and enjoyment, and got close to you a couple of times maybe.
Very much so.
And so we're going to go from this one. I've decided to treat myself to a new one that is being born in this very workshop. So we're going to look at how we're going to install the electrics, the engine and the transmission, and start getting the car ready so we can take it for its first shakedown on the racetrack. So what we're going to look at is all the components that we have laid out for you to see. So if you've never seen a stock car being built before, you're looking at the components individually, and then Ben's going to assemble the car and we're going to walk you through how to put the car ready together, hopefully in one piece first time.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got items down here that we will show you. We've got the engine, the clutch, the exhaust system, we've got the suspension, the rear axle, the front axles, we've got the electrics of the servos and the receiver, and all the different components that's going to piece this together ready for its second stage. So, I think we ought to crack on, don't you?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's build the car.
Let's get building. So we're here now with the first stage of what we are going to assemble into the chassis with Ben, and Ben's going to talk us through and actually put these components together to help us as a guide for new blood into the sport. Then Ben, so what is the first thing we're going to be looking at?
First thing, power plant. The engine, the heart and soul of it. So, Pico engine supplied from Schumacher, specifically for the stock car, designed exclusively for bottom end power, just what we require. Okay,
because obviously our straights are quite short in comparison to maybe circuit racing. And obviously it's all about sort of getting the power on, coming out the corner, down to the straight, and then into the next corner. So would you say the engine braking is as important as accelerating?
Yeah, very much so, especially as we're doing 4-second laps. So the initial acceleration is what we need.
Okay, excellent. And this engine is development, but it's got a lot of history. The name Pico within model car racing, the engine itself, it goes back some time, probably since the beginning of IC racing, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pico's been around since day one.
And they've enhanced and developed the engine for this class of racing.
Yes, specifically for the stock car.
And it's got success as well.
Yeah. It's 4 years into the project now, and there's 2 world championships been won with this engine.
Excellent. So what are we going to be doing? What is the process?
First things first, how does it fit in the car? Some basic first questions. We have a cradle, aluminium cradle, but it's offset. So the first thing is to make sure we get the offset round the right way, otherwise it won't fit. So putting the cradle, as you can see, holes are offset for the mountings. So the offset towards the inside of the engine, and then we can put the bolts to clamp it all together.
And obviously with these sort of things, it's making sure what we would know, or what engineering terms, the tolerance is to make sure it fits correctly, because there's a lot of vibration going on in all model car racing. So it's making sure the right bolts. We don't actually use a torque wrench as such, but we know through experience what is the correct.
I actually have got a torque wrench.
You've actually got a torque wrench.
That's what I use. It's actually a torque wrench.
And how dare I ask, how old is this torque wrench now?
It's let's say it's won a few races.
Right, okay, we'll leave it there then. All right, okay. So the assembly of the engine onto the cradle that will then secure itself into the main chassis.
Very firm fixing. Just let me put these bolts in, I'll show you the fixings underneath. and these through into the cradle. Just like that. So they bolt through the bottom of the car. Right, cradle's now bolted in, nice and tight with the torque wrench. Next thing to do, carburetor pinch bolt. The fiddly bit. These are shaped, they have a taper on them to lock in the carburetor around the back. So, placing these in very gently, like so, and hopefully like so.
So if I just zoom in there,
film in onto that port in there, Anna, just to show the step in the clamp.
yeah, it's quite tight in there, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
it's there's not a lot of room in there, so you don't want to rush this job, do you? When you're
No.
making sure
No.
it's a brand new engine, you want everything to go well the first time you take it out, and this engine's going to need running in as well.
That's right, that's right. So that clamp needs to be flush with the port in the back there, otherwise it just won't fit. Right. So push down until you can feel the O-ring lock in, and then do up the pinch bolt, but not very tight. You don't need to swing on that, it's only a very, very small bolt. So just pinching it basically. The carburetor's installed, pinch bolt nice and tight, it's time for the clutch. So we start first with the taper bush onto the crankshaft.
And that has to be a particular right way round, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. The taper has to go from the big end towards the bearing, and the small taper towards the outside of the engine. Followed by flywheel.
Okay, and all of this, again, it has tolerances, it has to be able to move smoothly,
Yeah.
but it's got to sit flush and basically level,
Yeah.
so it operates, because you don't want any more vibration, you want
No.
the engine to perform, so obviously you're checking all the time whilst you're assembling.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Right, and next to hold the actual flywheel on, the centre bolt, which we just do up finger tight first, but for this next part you will need some sort of tool to hold the flywheel while we do up the centre bolt.
Okay, and this is obviously an item that you can purchase.
Yeah.
Anybody that is a retail in the IC world,
Yeah.
internal combustion or nitro racing as we know it, this
Yeah.
is a kind of standard toolbox
Yes.
piece of equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, all the model car nitro clutch holding tools are the same. Whether there's various 3-pin shoes or 4-pin shoes, they fit all.
Okay. And again, this is the however many races, one torque wrench again.
Yeah, kind of. So again, you don't need to be absolutely swinging on that centre bolt.
Okay, all right.
You know, bear in mind it's only a very, very small.
This is something, because obviously in other things that I do, I teach young people motor vehicle mechanics and
Yes.
motorcycle mechanics,
Yeah.
and to understand tolerances and materials. It's very easy to break something when building a vehicle, especially in model car racing,
Yeah.
because of the tolerances and the threads and the materials are softer, they're lighter, they need less pressure. So always sort of the dexterity, if you like, to kind of make things, line things up, like assemble all the nuts and bolts, loose fitted, line everything up, and then gently tighten up.
Yes.
It's quite, takes a bit of time to get to learn, but once you've learned it, you can apply it to anything else that you do, can't you? Because there's nothing worse than, say, we go and get a wardrobe or a dining table, we get it home, we assemble it, and because of the materials, and maybe even so the instructions, you end up stripping a thread or damaging something because we haven't applied soft dexterity first.
It would be very easy to damage this part. Very, very easy. Hence, the short, stubby
piece of equipment known as the ratchet in the socket.
And it's only quarter drive, it's baby gear. You know, you can't.
And these are items that you can purchase in most places that sell tools and equipment, whether you, an auto supplier, Halfords, anywhere like that.
Anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere.
So what's next then?
Right. Next is the fitment of the clutch shoes themselves.
Now there'll be a right way and a wrong way to assemble these, won't they?
Yes. The shoes have two different angles on them.
Okay. So if we zoom in so we can see those quite closely, because they are quite small components, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. And
can you see on there that there's two different angles on the clutch shoe, here and here. It's very important we get these round the right way.
Okay, and this is because of the motion in which the engine is turning. They need to be fitted the correct way for the rotation.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the way that they snap in and out, and when it's spinning, if they're not seated properly in the flywheel, it will work, but not properly. It won't work as efficient as it should. The clutch will slip a little bit.
So now we're looking at assembling these onto the rear plate.
That's right. That's right. So that the tighter angle needs to go away from the engine.
And this is standard throughout all of using basically a centrifugal clutch on a nitro engine. That this is the format.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see this being assembled then.
Yeah. So let's remembering that the tighter angle goes away from the engine. That should sit there lovely for us. It can be quite fiddly, but the engine will sit there. It will sit once you've got your cradle on, and it will sit there and help you. Otherwise, it can.
Well, there's a sense with anything like this. I mean, we gave it the title "Stock Car is Born," but you are meant to enjoy the building of all of this.
Yeah.
So it's not just. We know we want to get out on the racetrack. We know that's the ultimate goal, but there's the enjoyment and there's the learning of putting something together like this. And obviously this is going to be eventually my stock car. However, obviously the bigger picture is showcasing to many people that anybody can, be involved with the sport, be involved with the class, obtain a stock car. They can do this for themselves, and it's the little tricks of the experience and the trade that you have learned that you're passing on. And something like this can make a difference between, whether you race for the day or whether you go home early because something's gone wrong. It's all in the preparation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. So now the 4 shoes are sitting in there just right. With the top control cover, keeps everything in check. As you see there, the shoes just automatically fall into that disc. followed by single clutch spring, which regular stock car guys would be like, wow, has a single spring?
Oh right, okay. So development and technology and
Yes.
design
Yeah,
has moved on.
it's changed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, single spring, straight over the top of the control cover, followed by the adjusting nut, which isn't quite ready to go on straight away. We just need to make it stock car ready.
Oh, so is this another little
This is
secret?
just another little trick, yeah, that we've.
Okay.
that we've
And
come
is
across.
this a reliability
Yes.
tip
Yes.
more than anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we just put this nut on now, as normal, straight out of the packet, when the engine revs up, the nut will wind itself on.
Oh, so actually it will increase in tension, and therefore with heat and with use.
The further that nut goes on, the less the shoes come out.
So it'll affect the performance of the
Oh,
clutch
yeah.
operating
Yes.
because of the tension by almost technically crushing it, if you like. Okay.
Yeah. Your adjustment to allow the shoes out to meet the drummers, we'll find out in a bit, it starts to slip, and it will burn the shoes out. It will burn the shoes out.
Okay. We had a little conversation on that amazing day last year, September,
Yeah.
where you took your second title, and I asked the question because I saw many other competitors with boxes of engines and exhausts and everything, and it's like, not that it didn't affect myself, or I'm not equipped for the event and everything, and then I come across and we have a chat, we do a little video and have a bit of fun and everything, and I said about, and you didn't even have a spare clutch or engine with you.
No.
And is that because true faith and development in what you've achieved with Pico through Schumacher Racing, who the supplier, but also the preparation now? You know, do you even keep carry a spare engine?
No.
I mean, in motorsport, that'd be considered, if it goes wrong, but that's just testament to what goes on now, what we're doing now.
Yeah.
That I don't need a spare engine then.
No.
Okay.
No. The problems have been ironed out from day one.
Excellent. Okay. So what we're looking at doing next?
Right. What we need to do now is nail the end of this adjusting nut to make it tighter on the threads, so that it can't wind itself on under acceleration.
Okay.
Right, I need some tools for this bit. Right, so back with the control nut for the clutch. As we were saying, just needs an adjustment on the end of it, just to flatten one of the threads off, so that the nut becomes tight on the thread. Not excessively tight, but just so it can't. So you can't wind it on by hand. If you can wind that on by hand, then the engine's it's going to tighten itself up.
So actually, we're making it into a lock nut.
Yes, basically, yeah. Just literally flattening the very first thread off, just to make it so it'll bite and not become loose. So all we need to do is just a few gentle taps, not too much, just to flatten that initial face in a little bit. There we go. And then onto the engine with our 10mm deep socket. Lovely. There we go. And then for the adjustment, can you see that on there? We have the nut flush with the top of the plate. Now I find if you adjust it any more, you put more tension onto there, then the clutch will slip. it needs to be the top of the nut flush with the top of the control plate.
And this will make sure that it runs smoothly, accurately, and it's in alignment. So this is going to save hours of how we would time in the pits,
Yeah,
working on the bike, for trying to work out why it's not performing as it should.
that will give you full power to the back wheels.
Okay, and it's a centrifugal clutch, so this is governed by when the engine hits a certain RPM.
Yeah,
It will kick in and it will engage with the transmission.
yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
right then, so the engine is now in its cradle, carburetor is now fitted, also the clutch is now prepared. So what we're looking at doing next?
To finish the clutch off, I'm going to fit the actual clutch drum for the belt drive system, and the complete with the top hat, just to keep it all nice and in check.
Okay, so that's going to be our next stage.
That's the next stage.
Excellent.
Right, final bit for the clutch is the belt drive system. So we have a clutch drum, spacing washer. So spacing washer on first, followed by clutch drum, and the all important top hat, just to keep it all together. And again, this doesn't need to be excessively tight. Perfect.
One power plant complete, ready for installation into the chassis?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, now we've...
Manifold first.
Manifold
Put
first.
the manifold on first.
Okay, so securing the manifold. Now with these manifolds, unlike maybe a conventional car or motorcycle where they'd be bolted, these aren't, are they?
No, no, these are held on with springs.
And this reason is for?
Vibration.
Vibration. So you have a seal.
We have a rubber seal. So the outlet for the exhaust, complete with the Pico rubber gasket. When that goes on there, you don't want to see any silver bits coming through, so make sure it's right up to the crankcase. And then followed by the manifold, which has 4 holes.
Let's just slowly zoom in so we can have a closer look. Okay, and those small holes is where the spring will connect.
Yes. So we have the spring with a hook in either end. So we go in one end, round the back of the engine, and into the other side.
And obviously it's a particular spring that's designed to take the tension,
Yeah.
to keep the manifold onto the exhaust port of the engine.
Yeah. Again, Pico supplied, so everything's just right. Spring tension, even down to the fitting of the manifold. That's a really good fit, really good. And then onto the springs. Guys, be careful with these springs, because when they're under tension and you're trying to pull this round, if this comes out, it will cut you, and it will, you know, it will cut you wide open like a knife.
So again, how we come back to take your time, prepare yourself, don't try and rush.
You want the tool to do it with. You need a hook.
You need a hook.
You need a hook because it keeps your hands well out of the way. So, and if it does come off, it's not gonna hurt you, because they are under quite a bit of tension, and I have seen guys where this has come off and cut them.
Okay, so again, proper equipment, proper advice.
Yeah. Just
listen to those that know that, that have already got the scars. Excellent. Okay.
So the right tools, because this can be quite a fiddly little job, but with the right tools it just makes it easy and quite safe, to be honest. So, spring in one end, as you can see, save your fingers hook, and then round and into the other hole. Just making sure that that's, because there's two sets of holes, the first spring wants to go right to the bottom of the fins, because then that'll hold your exhaust on square. As you can see at the minute, it's not quite seating properly, but as soon as you put the top spring on,
it'll pull it in line.
that will just hold it all in line. And again, with the tool, guys, because I'd hate to see blood everywhere. So once again, in there with the tool, fingers out of the way, because the top spring's even tighter. Oops. It's worth actually probably just giving that a little stretch first, just to allow you to get that in. Let's just grab some pliers just to make sure. Keep your fingers out of the way still, just until that's seated in there properly. Like so. And there. Spring in the right place. As you can see, it's pulled that up lovely and square. And
it's not going anywhere
you
either.
cannot pull that off there.
Okay, because obviously with the exhaust being spring and rubber mounted, with any engine, the performance is in the breathing of the engine, so you don't want any leaks into the carburation system. You want it to be only getting as much air and fuel as is required, and also with the exhaust system, you don't want any exhaust gases escaping out of the system. You want the system to provide the performance and the power.
Well, your system, your fuel pressure is regulated by your exhaust.
Yes, which obviously we'll come on to later on, especially when we, in our third episode, when we actually get to the racetrack, we'll be looking at all of those things, because obviously we'll be able to run the engine and we'll be able to go through those.
Oh yes.
Excellent. So the next task?
It will be fitting the engine into the chassis.
Super.